Tadi ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Arifah Nasution and my friend.
I'm Irga Safira.
We are from English Magister, Faculty of Cultural Science at University of Sumatera Utara. We would like to say thanks for EV call, International Virtual Conference on Language in Literature 2021, for these opportunities to present our presentation entitled Graduation Analysis of COVID-19 News in the Kompas, a Systemic Functional Linguistic Study. The abstract of this research is entitled Graduation Analysis of COVID-19 News in the Kompas using Systemic Functional Linguistic Study. This study was aimed to find out the using of appraisal in online English newspaper text about COVID-19 news in the Kompas. The study was also aimed to know how the writers strengthened the words from the phrases in the COVID-19 news in order to make the readers believe the news wrote by the writer. The research is based on the descriptive method. In descriptive research, this study used the library research to gain the theory and also used the representations to support the analysis. The objects of this study were online English newspaper text from Kompas online newspaper. The title of the online newspaper used in this study was purely occupied in hospital are real. The data came from written text, which were in the form of clauses or complex clauses as the units of analysis. As a result, there were 11 lexises, 30 phrases, and 3 clauses, which consisted of graduation and the highest graduation classification are sharpen-focus as much as 60%. In the data, the readers are hoped to believe the authors so the words which are strengthened by the phrases in the news. In a word, by the graduation system, the writer used linguistics researchers to strengthen his own views with quantitative, concrete explanation and make news discourse more objective and credible. The keyword of this research are appraisal, COVID-19 news text, graduation, and newspaper. Chapter 1, Introduction. The first introduction is about language. Language is the most important medium of communication for humans. It is used to convey message to others. As a result, the role of language in communication is critical. Furthermore, language is formed by social processes. So, language contains aspects of dialogue. Martin and White, 2005, and White and Seno, 2006. As a result, language can be classified as a system. It allows for the systemic arrangement of language. In a speech community, the system can convey ideas, feelings, and hooks. Second is about coronaviruses. Coronaviruses are virus types. There are many different kinds, and some of them are pathogenic. SARS-CoV-2, a coronavirus discovered in 2019, has caused a pandemic of respiratory illness known as COVID-19. And the third is about appraisal theory. Appraisal theory is a kind of interpersonal functional system research divided into 3 subsystems, namely attitude, judgment, and graduation. To express emotion, value, traceability, attitude, and intensity of judgment in discourse. Among them, graduation includes 2 categories, force and focus. Force includes intensification and quantification. Focus refers to the typicality of members. Both attitude and judgment are hierarchical, so graduation occupies the central position and in the whole appraisal system. Martin and White, 2005. And the chapter 2 is about literature review. The first is about appraisal. Appraisal theory is concerned with the linguistic researches by which texts or speakers come to express, negotiate, and naturalize particular intersubjective and ultimately ideological position. Within this broad scope, the theory is concerned more particularly with the language of evaluation, attitude, and emotion, and a set of researchers that explicitly position a text, proposal, and propositions interpersonally. Appraisal is concerned with the negotiation of meanings among real or potential interlocutors, such that each arrange and judge in process of alignment or misalignment with others, allowing us to better understand the levels and types of ideological solidarity maintained by authors with their potential readers or listeners. And the second is about graduation. Martin and White, 2005, point out that graduation provides a crucial role in the overall evaluation system. The word of appraisal is assessed to a considerable extent according to high and low intensity. Graduation is associated with the use of language to develop or weaken attitude and engagement, which are linked via text. Graduation is a combination of power and concentration. The evaluation level is strengthened or weakened using force. The term focus refers to the process of sharpening and or smoothing the quality of what is conveyed. And this about a force. Force is intensifiers, downtones, boosters, emphasizers, emphatics, and other values that have been labeled elsewhere are included in force. Martin and White, 2005. The adjectives of intensification, slightly, a little, somewhat rather, really, very, really, etc. are perhaps the most evident manner of expressions for this group. Force can also be communicated using lexical words in which the scaling values are usually a high intensity value is combined with some conceptual meaning. The media frequently use this style of force. For example, the temperature dropped, prices soared, the entire accounting division was laid off, and the storm ripped a passage through. And the second is about a focus. In Martin's appraisal model, the second dimension to graduation is focus. The categorical boundaries of expression experiences are non-attitudinal. Terms are servant or subtant. When grading attitude as focus, when attitudinal occurrences are graded as focus in this way, the meaning of the phenomenon appears to shift away from the interpersonal and toward the experiential. In other words, rather than being a felt emotion, happy becomes a psychological term. Chapter 3, about methodology. The study was using qualitative descriptive method is about appraisal system theory to find out the using of graduations, and the search is from in online English newspaper text about COVID-19 news in The Kompas. The study was also aimed to know how the writers sentence the words from the presses in the COVID-19 news in order to make the readers believe the news word by the writer. And the next chapter will, will, will be explained by my friend.
Chapter 4, Findings. Based on the appraisal system analysis adopted from Martin and White 2005, the research findings were as follows. The using of graduations of the online newspaper text entitled Fully Occupied Hospitals Are Real. The first annihilation got from the text located about 140 kilometers from Indramayu. The head of Sekawangi village, Bandung Regency, Ridwanullah, also experienced the difficulty of finding an isolation room. As we can see from the text above, the lexises about here belong to focus and soften because it was about estimation. Next. Second, now West Java Governor Ridwan Kamil has declared the Greater Bandung area to be on COVID-19 alert. As many as 75% of employees run a work from home or WFH system. During the next week, tourists are advised not to visit Greater Bandung. As we can see from the text above, the phrase as many as 75% belong to focus and sharpen because the speaker, the West Java Governor Ridwan Kamil, stated the percentage of workers who were already working from home. And the phrase during the next week here belong to focus and sharpen because the speaker wanted to sharpen the time that the tourists couldn't visit the Greater Bandung. Third, the surge in COVID-19 cases in West Java has been unstoppable since Idul Fitri. Hospital occupancy has become increasingly critical, making it difficult to accommodate new patients. As we can see from the text above, the lexis unstoppable here belong to force and race. Here the writer wanted to inform that the surge COVID-19 cases in West Java was very bad because it was unstoppable. The phrase since Idul Fitri belonged to focus and sharpen. Through this phrase, the writer informed about the time of the enhancement in COVID-19 cases in West Java. And for the phrase increasingly critical belong to force and race, the writer wanted to explain to the readers how horrific COVID-19 was by saying that many hospitals couldn't accept new patients. And fourth, essentially, the health center has tried its best, but the problem deals with the refill problem or limited isolation room. This is a lesson for us, he said. As we can see here from the text, the lexis best belong to force and race. From this lexis, the speaker wanted to inform that the health center wasn't wrong because they have already tried their best in order to help the patient. And for the lexis limited here, belong to force and lower. This was related to the previous lexis best that referred to the health center. The speaker added that the problem was on the lack of isolation room. For the fifth, the average occupancy rate at the COVID-19 refill hospital in West Java jumped sharply after the Idul Fitri holiday. Currently, the occupancy is 77%, up more than 2.5 times compared to a month ago. At that time, it was 28%. As we can see from the text here, the lexis average here belong to focus and soften. The writer informed the number of most COVID-19 hospital occupancy. The phrase jump sharply belong to force and race. Through these phrases, the writer wanted to raise his statement about the increasing number of hospitals for COVID-19 patients after the Idul Fitri holiday. And for the phrase at that time here, belong to focus and sharpen. Here, the writer sharpened the time of the enhancement in COVID-19 cases by 28%. Next, chapter 5, discussion. As we can see here from the table 1, table of graduation in Kompas online newspaper text, according to the data, the researchers found that there were 9 data using force and race of graduation classification. There were 3 data using force and lower of graduation classification. And there were 25 data using focus and sharpen, 7 data using focus and soften. From these findings, it can be concluded that the graduation classification at the focus and sharpen level was the highest and most frequently used. That was as much as 65%. Meanwhile, at other levels, only 12% of the data use focus and soften. 18% of the data use force and praise, and only 5% of the data use force and low. Regarding to the data above, the readers are hoped to believe the authors through the word which were strengthened by the praises in the news. Chapter 6, conclusion. Based on the discussion above, it could be concluded that there were 11 lexises, 30 phrases, and 3 clauses, which consisted of graduation according to the Kompas online newspaper article that are related to the COVID-19 news. The highest graduation classification are focus and sharpen as much as 60%. As mentioned before, graduation deals with a grading phenomena where both feelings are amplified and categories blurred, based on Martin and White 2005. Focus deals with non-gradable resources to express graduation, and it has the effect of adjusting the strength of boundary between categories, constructive core, and peripheral types of things. Martin 2003. In the data, the readers are hoped to believe the authors take the words which are strengthened by the phrases in the news. In a word, by the graduation system, the writer used linguistic resources to strengthen his own views with quantitative concrete explanation, make news discourse more objective and credible. That's all for our presentation. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, we're pleasure to get your question. You can find us at our email here. That's all for our presentation today. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.